Jurgen Klopp's side set up a final against Chelsea in February. Here is Jurgen Klopp with Nader Manure.
So Jurgen, congratulations. The Wembley beckons. What did you make of your team's performance? It felt in the first half there was a lot of vertical play, stretching the game in behind from you to, especially for the goal, but maybe some of the control lost a little bit in the second half. Would you say that's fair?
I liked the first half an hour a lot. The mix-up, yes, with the line full in place, with the way they press, it makes sense that we play from time to time in behind. It would be dumb if not. So we scored a goal from there. I cannot remember too many balls, but maybe there were a few too many. I don't know. But I liked the first half an hour a lot. So then the game opened up a little bit. Our foot slipped a little bit off the gas, and then all of a sudden they became a bit more aggressive, and it was more an open game. That they come out for the second half and go for it was completely clear. Was completely clear. But we then controlled it again, and we should have scored. I think we all agree. If it's a counter-attack or whatever, we should have. But of course, it's an intense game. It's their stadium. It's a tough game and a proper atmosphere. So we should have put the game to bed. We didn't. Door open. They went halfway through. They scored a goal with a wonderful situation from Harry Wilson. So we did really well there. But then we were calm again, and the minutes went down, and everything is fine. Look, it's Cup. We didn't expect to come here and winning the first leg 2-1 and just easy going. It comes through somehow. I'm overly happy that we had to fight for it. That makes it even more special. So all good.
Absolutely. And when it became time to fight, especially in those late minutes, bringing on somebody like Clark, only 18 years old, this must have made you supremely proud.
Oh, these boys, they grow in the moment. They grow. Sometimes I walk behind them and think, did he grow since yesterday? So it's like crazy. It's so good that we can give them these experiences. Bobby is now really in men's football. He's a wonderful, wonderful, skilled player, kid, and Dad was a professional. So he's a really technical, good player. But to play with adults, you have to put all the physical stuff in as well, and he's learning that in the moment, really, and I like a lot what he's doing. When we have others on the bench there, we didn't even use them. Today, they're really good as well. So it's a all-around top experience for us. We can't, we know, but we are really looking forward to Wembley. It's great for our people. It's great for this team. We said this is a Liverpool 2.0, so when you want to start to go to finals, best in the first year, so all good.
Well, thank you very much and good luck in the final.
Thank you very much.
Great to see you.
Nader joins us now from Craven Cottage. Come out to midnight, Nader. What a treat for you. Oh. We talked about this at half-time. We talked about it while watching the game together. It just took Fulham too long to get going in this game, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely it did. And I think I've watched quite a few games of Fulham recently, and I've seen the upside of them. I've seen them be able to take the ball under pressure and make good passes, but for probably the first 20, 30 minutes, it almost felt like they were nervous. There were so many little errors, like passes going in the wrong place, movements that were wrong. And it seemed like the moment was almost a little bit too big for them. And I think Marco Silva, after the game, spoke about that. He said his team was just that little bit too emotional. And when you allow a side like Liverpool to get into their stride, to be able to move the ball the way that they were doing, to be 1-0 up, for Liverpool to just be 1-0 up, it could have potentially been more. It felt like this was going to be a bad showing from Fulham, and I think the crowd could sense it as well. There was a lot of frustration. I thought maybe if they'd go 1-0 down, the crowd would get right behind them because, they're still the underdog, but now the mount is that bit higher, but what a journey that could be. But instead, there were grumbles. There were so many turnovers, so many little mistakes. Players who weren't playing to their usual abilities, and that's the thing, their usual abilities. They need to be playing possibly above that to get themselves a chance of winning this game. But when they're below it, it's as if nothing was going good for them. But in the end, as you guys said, they did grow into the game. They got better. They forced Liverpool more on the back foot. But it just wasn't to be today, unfortunately, for them. And I'm sure they're going to be disappointed, but try and take some positives if they can.
It's interesting, Marco Silva there, as Nader says, they were just too emotional going into this game. We talked about the gravity of this game when you look at Fulham's history. There just didn't seem to be a way of managing.
I think they were too worried for too long about what was going to happen at that end behind them, and not what they were going to do with the ball and how they were going to get behind this Liverpool side and get themselves back in the game. And they got a right kick in the teeth when their very experienced goalkeeper basically throws one in. I'm not being harsh. It's an easy save. So then you do have to make a decision. You have to be more positive, and you can't then worry about leaving a bit of space behind you because all of a sudden you're chasing 2 goals, and as we've all said, they left it until that late goal to start really putting Liverpool under pressure. Up until that point, it was a very, very comfortable evening for the away team.
Liverpool didn't even have to be that good, did they, Steve?
No, they didn't. I'm glad that the manager came out and was talking about that emotion, because it really is true. You have to be able to harness it in the right direction. And you saw the last 15 minutes of the game, they brought emotion into it, but they used the emotion to put Liverpool under pressure. Unfortunately, the emotion they used to start sort of froze them.
Right.
Really did freeze them. And it just made it too easy for Liverpool. And actually, you could be critical of your Klopp, well, he was, because they should have killed this game off. And the fact that they had to spend the last 15 just a little bit on the toes, which they shouldn't have had to. He'll be addressing that. But for Fulham, it really is an opportunity that they will be so disappointed. You know, when you lose a game like this, you want to come off knowing that you gave everything and it just wasn't to be.
Yeah.
They'll be feeling the opposite of that.
Well, they've got, you know, it's not that it was going to be easy, but when you look at this opportunity from a, you know, relatively experienced Fulham side, particularly going forward in the forward areas, and then you look at the weak points of Liverpool, or the weaker points, you've got Joe Gomez playing out of position at left back, and you've got Van Dijk in there as the only experienced player in the correct position. The other two are youngsters, Konsa and Connor Bradley, and that's a lot. And these lads did well, but
And the goalie.
And the goalie who does play in the Carabao Cup. But that's not to say that these boys didn't play well and have played well, and Klopp mentioned that to Nedum in his interview. It's just the fact when you're in the opposition, you try and find any weak point you can. We need to get at the youngsters, we need to isolate him. Fulham are not in the business of feeling sorry for these young players coming in and making mistakes, and they had to utilise that fact and pressurise them, and they didn't, particularly on that left side. We talked about it before the game.
Yeah.
You know, they have Anthony Robinson, they had Tom Kearney, who's been excellent the last 2 or 3 months, and they had Willian against these two inexperienced kids, and particularly the right back, and they really didn't take advantage of it, and that's one of the reasons why they're not going to the final.
No, Liverpool, of course, going to the final where they take on Chelsea, Nedum, and Liverpool will more than fancy their chances.
Oh, yes, they will. I think they've obviously got positive memories of playing against Chelsea at Wembley in the 2 seasons ago in the League Cup and the FA Cup. And obviously no goals were scored within 90 minutes, but they did manage to lift 2 trophies. So I think they'll like the matchup. I think, interestingly, earlier in the season, the 2 did play, and it was a very, very good game. So for me, if I get a chance to go, I'm just rooting for goals, rooting to see the ball finally hit the net in this tie between those 2 sides. But Liverpool fancy themselves against anyone, and I think, as the guys were saying, this version of Liverpool is not the best version of Liverpool. If the whole squad was available, this wouldn't be the starting 11 that you see. But maybe in a month's time, it perhaps will be. So go in there with the positive memories that they have. I'm sure they'll be looking forward to potentially lifting another trophy.
I mean, Kelleher will play in the final, the goalkeeper.
I hope not.
We'll talk about that closer to the time. I'm going to move on. We've got a lot going on.
Have we?
Discuss who's going to be the goalkeeper.
It's not been a busy. No, but I'm saying, no, my point being is that he'll play in the final, I would imagine, and the other 10 will be the big guns.
Good.
We're not discussing that?
No. Thank you very much, Nedum. Go to bed.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
No problem.
They normally make me discuss games in this programme that are like a month ahead.
February the 25th will be the final, where we'll be discussing who will start in goal for Liverpool.
Kelleher, I've just told you.
Liverpool go into that clash as favourites.